Hi guys, hope you're doing great. In this video, I'm going to be talking about NextJS, which is an awesome reactjs framework. If you have little bit knowledge about React, it will be easy for you to understand along with this short crash course on NextJS. So NextJS actually facilitates us to serve the pages from server side, and it serves us all these following functionalities. We can have fast first page reload, we can optimize the SEO of the page, we can have it for the web app as well as the hybrid mobile apps and a lot more other things. You can just check it out and go through its documentation. There are a lot of other ways to actually render pages from server side, but Next.js is very famous. Many big companies use it, so we are going to use it, and it's going to be really awesome crash course. So there are a lot of websites out there. So let's see if you want to find out whether this website is rendering from server side or a client side. Let's say we have this website nextjs.org. If you want to see if it is being rendered from server side or not, just right click on the page, go to view source, and come down. And here you will see that all the content of this page is being loaded over here. So if it is existing on this view source of this page, that means that bots of SEO or search engines can likely detect your website, the content within your website, and show it on their search results, right? I've opened up another website which I know is not yet implemented the server side rendering. So how does it look like as compared to this? So if I go to view source, over here you would see that this is the main app root, which is built on Angular. This website built on Angular, so I know there is an app root component. So inside it there is nothing, there is just a div and div class. There's a lot of content inside it. We have these city names, we have these text titles. It's not being shown up over here, so this website is not rendering from server side, right? So I hope that you've got the idea how the server side and client side site is look like. So now let's go and proceed with the Next.js, how you can start creating a new project using Next.js. It's almost React. If you have a little bit understanding of React, it will be easy for you to understand along with this course. Right, so I'm using VS Code. It's an awesome IDE. You can use any IDE you like, and I'm using the terminal of this IDE, a built-in integrated terminal. So within the terminal, what I need to do is I need to install npm init first. So npm init -y. -y will actually ask us different questions. Okay, so this is the package.json file has been created. Next.js crash course. Index.js is the file name that has been created by default, which we have not yet created. So if you have a little bit knowledge about the npm packages, we are going to install few packages. One is the Next, other is related to React, because Next is the React framework, so we are going to be using React and React DOM. So npm install, and we need to install React DOM and Next. So these are the frameworks that are modules that are going to be downloaded from its respective paths, and it's going to be installed within node_modules folder. Once it gets installed, we are going to proceed further using Next.js. Okay, so our packages has been installed under the node_modules folder, and open up package.json file, and you can see these are the dependencies have been installed, right? So Next.js actually recommend us to create a proper folder structure. So for it to load different pages, different components, Next.js recommend us to use a folder named pages. So I will be creating a pages folder, and inside it I will be creating a new file, a JavaScript file. I will name it index.js, right? So inside it, I can simply go ahead and create a reactjs stateful or stateless components, right? So for actually creating a stateless components, I'm going to be creating const index right? So I can simply create a div inside it. Let's create a p tag JavaScript, right? And after that I can simply export it, right? And in the package.json, I can create a script to actually run it. So for creating a script, I'm going to name it dev. And after that, to run this Next.js project, I'm going to write next. And after that, I'm going to give it a port. Okay. So within the terminal, I'm going to run this npm run dev. So it's going to automatically detect this pages folder, and inside it, it's going to automatically detect if there is an index.js file. So you can see that started server on localhost 3000, right? And you can see over here, it has automatically created .next folder over here. These are the compiled files of whatever we have written in index.js, right? So this is the pages, this is the code from pages. So it means that this is going to be rendered from server side. We don't need to actually create. If we go ahead and create all these files manually, it's going to take us days to actually manage that. Next.js gives us a flexibility to actually render pages from server side, right? So cache actually makes a page a little bit faster. So it's a webpack it's using. So let's go and open up localhost 3000. Okay. Okay, so we have actually created this stateless function. We don't need to create curly braces. Just use these brackets, the parentheses, right? So let's save it. So it's going to be compiled itself automatically. So it is. So you can see it is showing JavaScript on a web browser after executing localhost 3000. What is it showing? It is showing me pre-rendered pages. So if I click on it, it will give me more description, what is the pre-rendered pages and how to handle that. A lot more information about the Next.js. So if I go and right click view page source, and now you will see this is the JavaScript that is rendered. So it means that this content will be visible for the SEO, and server side rendering make it a bit faster if we initially load the page, because we don't need to call the APIs and a lot more rendering pages from client side. So it's quickly load up on the web page. Now we can proceed further writing Next.js other functionalities. Okay, so now let's talk about routing in Next.js. It's a little bit different than the actual React. So first of all, for routing, I need to create few more pages. So let me create a file, let's say about, and I'm gonna create one more file. Let's say profile.js, right? So I'm just going to copy and paste in about me, and paste it in profile, right? And let's create let me just save it. Let's create another folder for layout for the top nav bar. So I'm going to create another folder and I'm going to name it components, new file, layout.js, right? So this one, let's say export default, right? So I'm going to create a div, and inside it let me just create a header, and inside it let me create a home. Just copy, paste, and about profile, right? So now I need to actually show the nav bar in all these pages, right? So how can I do it? I can just include this layout component within every page, or I can pass the children param to this layout component and add this whole content with this within this layout component, right? So first of all, let's go to the index, and I'm going to put this whole div within this layout. Let me just import this layout component first. Import layout from components layout, right? So now layout, and I'm going to just paste it over here, right? So now the layout component is going to get triggered, and this whole content, everything we write within this layout component, we can receive over here. This is the basic React concepts. I need to do it to actually explain you how routing works in NextJS, right? So within curly braces, I can write children. Okay, so how can I load up children? So after this header, I can, like, let's say I can write children. Okay, so this content will be shown up after this header, right? And let's go to this. Let me just copy this import and paste it in here, paste it in profile, right? And now let me just copy this, paste it over here, and paste it here, paste it, right? Okay, so we have added this layout. Okay, let me just go how does it looks like at the moment. So now you can see this is the home, about, and profile, and we can't click over here as of now, but our layout and this index is being loaded up, right? Because initially we have this load ups, but let's go. Now along with this, I'm going to style it later on. I'll let you know how you can add CSS within Next.js, but let's first make it a clickable, right? So to make it a clickable, we have got a Next.js modules. So I'm going to write import link from next-link, right? So now I'm going to add each and every anchor tag within a link and href / because this is the home page, right? Okay, just simply copy this line about, profile, and link, right? And I'm going to change it about, and I'm going to change it profile. Okay, so let's go, and now I can click on about. You can see about me has been loaded up. If I click on profile, you can see this URL has been changed and this profile is loaded up as well. Click on home. Now I have written this and it has automatically detect the name of this file, right? If I write abouts, save it, go over here, click on profile, click on about, right? And this page could not be found. I will let you know how you can handle this error, but you can see the about route is not found. The reason is this route name is being handled, detecting whether this name has been found as a file name or not, right? So the file name and route can be same or different, but in order to make the URL different, the route different, I will let you know how you can do it, right? So just reload about, no, not abouts, but it's about, right? So profile, about, home, right? So you can see that this is how routing is working, and this whole content has been loaded up. Next, we'll talk about how we can style our header and other elements using NextJS. So now let's add some styling to it. So first of all, just a quick tip for you. Just import something called head from next head. So what does it do is, if you see, no matter which page we navigate, this URL, you can see localhost 3000 colon profile, so it doesn't look good. Usually what you have is in Angular, React and other frameworks that you have the index.html file where you have the head section in the HTML file where you can change the title of this page. So how we can do it in Next? We don't have the index.html by default, right? So in order to do it, what you can do is just import this head from the Next, and you can write anywhere this directive head, and inside it you can write anything that exists under the head in usual index.html file. You can add meta tags, you can add title, you can include other external CSS files and external scripts for jQuery, for the CDN fonts and these things, right? So inside it, let's say that I want to show the title which page we are at, right? I don't want to fix the title. So just like I have sent this children, I can also pass the other stuff as well, right? So layout, and I can write title, and inside it I can write home. Okay, so just copy it, paste it, and paste it. It is the profile, this is about, and this is the home, and this is the layout. But here we need to receive the title, and inside it I can simply write title, right? So let's save it and go. Now you can see we are at the profile route and it's showing profile at the top, right? If we go to the about, you can see the title has been changed and home and has been changed. Let's keep on checking if this content has been loaded up in page source. So here you can see the profile, we are at the profile section, so it is loading up, and other content like home, about, these are the navs are being showing up, right? So that means it's loading up from the server side. So now we have added the title, right? And let's add some stylings. So let's have it a class name. Okay, so let's say main. Okay, so in order to add a class name, let's come down to this children, and I can write style JSX and curly braces, and this character above your tab button. Okay, let me just bring it closer. Right. Okay, so inside it we can add the styling. Just remember this syntax, right? So let's add some styling. So we have the header. So for header we can add a background. So background, we can add a blue. Font size, we can add 20 pixels. Padding 1 em. Justify content, space around, display flex, and we can add its width, right? So it is compiled. Let's go. So it's looking little bit better, right? If we can go to the about, home, profile. Now let's add something for the main class, right? So line items, center, display flex, and justify content, center, and flex direction column. Okay, so let's see now. So this profile has been centered. There is no paddings around these things. So let's do something on this anchor tags, right? So header A, and for this I will write color white, and text decoration, I just want to remove the underline from these text, so decoration none. Right, so let's also header A hover, and font weight bold, right? So let's save it. Right, so as I hover it, it's bold, it's about, home, JavaScript, so it's looking cool at the moment, right? So this is how you can add styling to it. If you want to add global styles, you can write down in any of these layout files, but we can also have the NextJS provided document file that we can use to write global stylings. But if you want to do it over here, just write style and global JSX. Okay, here you can write the global body things. So let's say margin 50 pixels, right? Let's see if it affects. Let's refresh. So now you can see there is a margin 50% have been added all around. So this is how you can add the global styling, but I'm not going to write it over here, right? Let's remove it. Now there are some routings life cycles provided by NextJS. Let's say that I want to implement those life cycles on all the routes, about, profile, and index. I can simply add the routes in either any of these files, but I'm going to add the routes, the routing life cycles within layout, because layout component gets triggered when we navigate to any of these pages, so we don't need to replicate the same code in every of these pages. So let's go to the layout, and here I'm going to import router from next/router, right? So here we have three life cycles: router, on route, change start, URL, right? So this is when we click on any of these link, home, about, profile, it's going to be started, right? So let's copy it, let's paste it again. So change start and change complete. right? So this URL, you can get the URL from these routing files. So before it completed, you can do whatever you want within on route change start, right? Whenever any of the route changes, this is going to get triggered. And last one is on route change error, right? So here I can simply log the URL, right? URL, right? So let's save it and see what happens when we navigate to any of the routes. So go to the inspect console, right? So let's home and let's refresh the page. Okay, so if I click on about, you can see this one about has been triggered from the on route change start, and this one on route change complete, right? If I go to the profile, you can see this profile has been triggered 2 times. Okay, so depends upon your requirement. You can use these life cycles for this and NextJS router and utilize it the way you want. Okay, so now let's say that I am triggering a route that doesn't exist, right? So this is the default browser given page that gets loaded, but I want the theme of my application to remain as it is and show me any custom error message that this page is not found, right? Or any error message that this theme should be same as it is. So Next.js, just like it gives us this index.js automatically gets triggered, Next.js provided other names of this file. So 404.js, 404 is the error that gets triggered when the page is not found. So let me just copy the same code from profile.js over here, and I'm going to give it like 404, this page is not found, right? So this is the custom message. Now this, I'm going to change the title as well, 404, right? So let's save it and let's go refresh and let's load any page that doesn't exist, right? So I have written about double S at the end. Now you can see this is the custom error message keeping the theme of our application. 404, this page is not found, and also the title of the page has been changed. So this is how you can add a custom error message for the 404 when page is not found. There are other kinds of error like 500 error, 400 error. Those kinds of error won't trigger this 404.js file. There is other file that I will let you know once I give you explanation how you can integrate the APIs, right? So let's come to the about.js file, and I'm going to integrate the APIs, right? In react.js, if you remember, we use fetch function, that is a built-in function for fetching the data from the API calls, but that won't work because fetch is a browser API that only works from the client side. Just like we have the local storage, session storage, intervals, these doesn't exist on the back end. Since our page is loading from the server side, these kinds of functions won't work on this app. There are ways we can use them in this app, but I will let you know how you can use it. But first of all, let me just call the data from API. I'm going to use this route, JSON placeholder dot type pcode.com/posts, and I'm just going to call this API, right? So what I can do is about page, uh, I can convert it into a stateful component, right? So this is the stateless component called the React hooks. Let's say that I need to convert it into um, okay, so let's class index, and I'm going to extend component, right? So I'm going to remove it Let's make it a curly braces and curly braces over here, right? So now what we can do is we can simply render it. So I'm going to write the render function, and I can place all these things over there. So to actually fetch the component, I need to load it from the React. So component from React. Let me just return it, parentheses, and end the parentheses over here. Okay, it's loading up perfectly now as it was before, right? Static async, and I'm going to use get initial props. It gives me request response query, right? I'm going to use the Axios, so npm install Axios. So it also works on the server side in Node and Express if you have ever worked with it. So before it is installing, I can keep on writing the code. So because when I use Axios, and it returned me the promise, that's why I have returned async over here, right? So what I can do is const response await Axios. If you don't understand the async and await, I've already created a video. Check out my channel and you will get the async await and promises tutorial, right? Axios.get, and here I can paste this line. Okay, so const data await response.data, and now I can return this data. Let's say posts data and status. If we have successfully fetched the data, then I'm going to return the status 200, right? Else if there is an error, so if we are using the async await, we can use the try catch to actually get the errors, right? So just cut it, paste it, and catch it error, and return posts null, and status is, let's say, 400 status. Okay, so now whenever this about page is going to be loaded, this is going to be received. So what it's gonna do is this return statement is going to be received within the props of this render function. Okay, so here what we can do is we can write const posts and status. We can receive it from this dot props, right? So whatever is returned from here, we can simply output it from here. Okay, so now if we have the status equals to 200, right, then let's say if it is 400, then we can simply load up an error message, and for that we can create an error page. I haven't created yet, else it's going to automatically return this layout. Okay, so along with this about me, I can write another p tag, and inside it I can write posts 0. Okay, I don't want to output all the posts, so I just want to output this one. Okay, so let's see if it works. Let me run it in the npm run dev in my terminal, and it's going to get compiled. Let's open it up. This is the about page. Let's go to the home page if it's already compiled. Now the last thing we need to do is import the Axios, because we are using over here but we haven't imported it above, right? I have also added this console log to see what the response we get. Import Axios. I think we can simply write compiled successfully, counted property 0 of null. Let's simply output the posts. So when I navigate to the about page, it is giving me this error, right? So I think we can write JSON dot stringify and posts. Go over here and you can see home, about, and it's going to call the API and return the data. And this is how we can call the API using Axios, and I have returned this data and I can receive these props over here, and whatever the data we are sending from here, we can pass it over here. So if the status code is here, we need to create the error file. So within the pages, I'm going to create underscore error.js, right? So I'm just going to copy everything from profile section. Let's paste it, and inside it I can simply call the title error, and here I can pass this thing status code. Okay, so I can receive the status code from here as well. So change the name. I don't need the name actually, so I can simply write export default. Okay, so we needed to change the name of this as well, so it doesn't affect, but it is good for debugging purpose. Okay, so also make sure you change the name of this index to about, and about over here, and I'm using get initial props, and we have got this error page. Okay, so whenever, let's say that if status code exists and I needs to show the no data found. Okay, otherwise this file can also execute it if we don't call it from here. So what do I mean by it? Let's say I am just writing error, okay, and underscore error, right? And if there is a 400 error, I can write error, and I can pass the status code to it like status. Okay, so it's giving me an error. Actually I need to pass it using the curly braces, right? So now I'm manually triggering that particular file, and I'm sending out the status, which is the 400. So it means when it will come over here in this file, it will check if the status code exists, then no data found has to be shown. Otherwise, if there is an unknown error that is not either 404, not the error because of this API call, this 400, then this file is going to get executed, and I'm going to pass this unknown error. Okay, so it's up to you, whatever the logic you can make over here. Okay, so let's say I call it posts, Okay, so let's open it up, refresh. So here it is showing me null, right? So null is coming from about over here because no posts exist and we are returning null. So it is not executing this error message. So we missed one thing, return and parentheses. So when there is an error, the render function won't be executed. This return won't be executed because we are returning this. Okay. So there should be an error because this URL does not exist. I have changed it. So now no data found, right? So this error, no data found, has been executed, right? If I just properly correct this URL, and now you will see that I needs to re-execute, and now you can see that this whole data have been printed on my page on the about page, right? Home, about, and this data have been fetched. So this is how you can call the API, handle the errors, and create different error files and handle those errors over here. Make sure you use this get initial props when you are using NextJS because it helps you receive these props, whatever is being returned from the API call. So now there is another file along with this underscore error, and we call it underscore document. So I'm going to create it underscore document.js. So as I mentioned in my layout that we can add the title over here. So we can also add the meta tags, include other scripts that we can write down within this document, right? So I'm just going to copy this whole thing just to get the layout properly. So I'm just going to call it anything, my document, and I don't need to extend it from the component but the document, right? And this document I can get it from the react slash no, not react, next slash document, right? So this document will work like this. Within this I can call the render function and the return parentheses, and inside it I can write the HTML just like we usually have it in index.html. First of all, let me just export it, my document. Okay, and we don't need the error message here, nor the axios, nor the layout, right? We have only created this file for adding the head tag. So document, we have the head here, we can have the HTML, we can have the main. These are the recommended things by NextJS, so next script, right? So within this, just start writing the HTML, lang in, right? So in this we can have the head, right? And after the head we can have the body, and within the body we can have the main and next script, right? So these things are required when you need to create underscore document folder file. These things are necessary. So now whatever you need to do, you can do it within the head, right? So what I can do is I can simply copy the content over here. So you can see we can add the meta tags over here, right? And within the body we can simply add the styles like I did in styles, and we can do global styles JSX, right? This is how we can write, and we can start writing the global styles over here like the body and these things, right? So it will work. And now you can add the external libraries over here using scripts, external CSS files, and these kinds of things, right? So I hope that you have got the idea that how you can add these files, right? So now we can move forward, and one of the very important topic I need to cover now is the query params. Let's say you are passing the queries from one layout to another page, how you can manage that. Let's say within the profile, I have the multiple profiles, right? So I'm going to create those files. So let's see, uh, link. Let me just create the link over here. Okay. Where did I created that link? Layout. Yeah. So link, paste it, and now here I can add the href, and here I can create the profile item. This is the file that I haven't created yet, but I'm going to create right now. So profile item, after that I can pass anything as a query param. So let's say the title equals to uh, profile 1. Okay, and yeah, so in link we have written the link, and inside it I can have the title as well. So title profile 1, so a, and title, let's add the profile 1. Okay, so without curly braces, right? So I have added the profile 1 just like I have added over here in it, right? So link href profile, I can just copy, paste, paste, and profile item is the file I have to yet created. So title profile 2, profile 3, right? So I need to have this particular page where I will receive, so I need to change the profiles. Okay, so let me create the page, and in this page I'm going to create profile item.js, right? So inside it I'm going to paste something from index, profile item, paste profile item, copy it, paste it, and now I need to receive those query params that are coming from here, these title, right? So what I can do is I have got the router thing from the this, so I can write with router from next router, right? So along with the profile item I need to paste with router parentheses, right? So I've received this router. So rather than directly writing this string, I can simply write router dot query dot title, so whatever we are sending as a key. So I can also write here router dot query dot title. Let's save this file. I don't think we need to write anything else in this file. Let's open it up, let's save it, let's rerun the server in the terminal, right? So whenever you create a new file, make sure you rerun the server. So it's just compiling it using NextJS, so it is opening up. Let's go to the home, about, Let's refresh it first. Right, let's go to the inspect and see if there aren't any errors. Go over here. Viewport meta tag should not be used in the document. So there are some recommendations. These are the warnings. Okay. Let's go. So now go to the about. So about has been loaded. Let's go to the profile. So profile section have been loaded. We needed to like align it properly, but we haven't done it, so that's fine. Let's quickly go ahead and write OL, and let's just copy, paste, and list. Right, so I'm just going to paste all these things over here. Okay, so it's look a bit better now. So now if I hover over it, you can see what is the URL of it. If I click on it, make sure you see this URL. So profile, I've clicked on it. So I'm seeing the profile one over here as well as in the tab title. Also the URL has been changed, right? So now if I'm clicking on it, this title have been is going over here, and it's going here, and it's receiving this router, and it is changing the title as well as the text within the body of this content. So this is how you can receive the query params, right? So one thing in here I just want to explain is, let's say that you don't want this URL, you need to have a different slug for it. Okay, so how you can do it? Link give us the as property. So as equals to profile one, profile one. Let me just copy, paste profile 2, profile 3. Okay, so whenever we navigate to these URLs, its slug won't be this but this. Okay, so let's see if it works. Refresh. Right, so if I go to profile 2, you can see we have navigated to the profile item page, but its slug is profile 2. Right, let's go back. Profile 3, profile 3 is also working. Profile 1. Right, so currently I have created it as the static links, but usually we have the dynamic links using the array map function. So we can do that at this in this way, right? So I have pretty much covered almost all the major topics of Next.js that are required for almost every application that you build using Next.js. There are a lot more topics in Next.js website. If you need to look around it, you just go to the Next.js docs folder, and you will have API references for the next router, next link, next head, next.config.js file for your configurations. Just go over here and go through the documentation of Next.js. I hope that you have liked the topics I have covered in this video. If you have any question, make sure you comment below in this video. And if you have liked my video, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Also, make sure to like this video. Thanks.